Chrysler Summer Clearance is here. Get to your Chrysler dealer today for some of the best deals of the season. By State Farm, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. By Dodge, grab life. By Just for Men, stay in the game with Just for Men hair color. And by Skyline Chili, you know it's Skyline time when you get that craving for a Skyline three-way or cheese conies. A mostly cloudy day throughout the entire day here in Cincinnati. We mentioned the temperatures already in the 50s. Didn't get much above the mid-60s today. Expecting lots of sunshine beginning tomorrow. And no rain, knock on wood, in the forecast for tonight. The opening game of this three-game series between the St. Louis Cardinals, who over the weekend clinched a National League Central Division title for the fourth time in the last 6 years. St. Louis, of course, won the whole thing back in 2006, running over the Tigers in that World Series. They are tied for the second best record in the entire National League going into play tonight. If they have anything else left to play for, they're 2.5 behind the Dodgers for best record in the National League, which of course means home field advantage throughout the National League playoffs. So here come the Reds taking the field, starting this final homestand of the 09 campaign. Tony La Russa and his lineup presented by U.S. Bank. Skip Schumacher leads off at second base. Julio Lugo, the shortstop. And Big Albert Pujols bats third and plays first. Matt Holliday in left field. The rookie Colby Rasmussen center. Ryan Ludwig in right. Mark DeRosa, whether wearing a Cub uniform or a Cleveland uniform, has really hurt the Reds. He's at third, batting seventh. Jason LaRue starting for the injured Yadier Molina behind the plate. And Joel Pinheiro, a 15-game winner, is on the mound. Homer Bailey will start things for the Reds. What a great run he has been on of late. Over his last 7 starts, a 4-1 record and an ERA at 1.99. Should have 6 wins during that time. Twice into 7 starts. He has been the victim of blown saves. Well, you go back to earlier this season, Homer Bailey, and when he first came up and what he did in really his first 11 starts. His ERA was over 7.5, but under 2 over his last 7 starts, and hopefully trying to finish strong. You'll have this start tonight and then one more over the weekend when the Pirates come to town to close out the season. Take a look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. They'll go with Vladimir Valentin in left, Willie Taveras in center, and Jay Bruce in right. The former Cardinal Scott Rowland at third, Paul Yanish at short, Phillips at second, Joey Votto at first. And a battery of Homer Bailey and a healthy Ramon Hernandez. Skip Schumacher digging in, a .303 batter, 4 home runs, 35 runs batted in. Bailey, the big leg kick. First pitch fastball, strike one, and this game is underway. Schumacher, you may remember, began the year as a second baseman coming in from the outfield. The first time any Cardinal has done that since the Hall of Famer Red Schoendienst. And they played him in the outfield a little bit from time to time, but now back at second base. A fly ball to left, handled by Valentin, and Schumacher retired to begin the game. Going back to before the trade deadline, the Cardinals have unquestionably been the most active team in all of Major League Baseball. Some might argue Boston. It would certainly be a neck-and-neck race which team improved itself the most. Julio Lugo, one of those acquisitions, ironically coming from Boston. And now the everyday shortstop, a .281 batter, playing in his 47th game since the trade. 1-1. Homer, you may remember his last start, admittedly after the game, had far less than his best. In fact, he had been on a run as far as strikeouts were concerned of 7, 8, 6, 6, and 8. Against the Pirates, he did not have a single strikeout in the game. But certainly in a sign of maturation right before our very eyes. Bailey went 6 innings in that game against the Pirates, got the win, gave up only 4 hits and 2 runs. That's a real good sign looking ahead to next year and years beyond for Homer Bailey. Routine ground ball down to Rolen. Perfect throw per usual for Rolen, and 2 away in the Cardinals' opening inning. Brought him up earlier, but take a look at those numbers. First 11 starts, an ERA of 7.53. Look at the opponent's batting average, .288. And ever since then, brother, he has been on an unbelievable roll and is starting to show signs of being the guy everyone had heard about and talked about coming up through the minor league system. He has been lights out. Of course, then you have to face Albert Pujols. 2-out single to center by Pujols, who one would imagine will be named again this season the National League's most valuable player. 47 home runs and 132 runs batted in. Man. Now he has a big bopper behind him. Matt Holliday came over from Oakland and has been knocking the cover off the ball in the National League, as he did for so long with Colorado before going to Oakland prior to this season. Those are the numbers with St. Louis for Holliday. In 57 games, a .353 batter, 13 home runs, and 51 runs batted in. Pujols got a great jump, no need to throw to second. Breaking ball in there, strike. Homer never gave him a serious look. 16 stolen bases for Albert Pujols. I mean, there he goes, and Bailey just now picking up the leg. It's an area you got to believe Homer will look to improve upon, looking to 2010. Still 0-2 on Matt Holliday. See the career numbers for Holliday. I mean, he just had some monster seasons playing for the Colorado Rockies. And when he started this year the way he did in Oakland, many wondered if he was not a byproduct of mile-high altitude. I mean, every year he's hitting 320, 326, 340 back in 07, knocking in over 100 runs in back-to-back years. Then this year in Oakland, nowhere near the same batter. He's come back to the National League and looks like the same guy in Denver. But he's gone swinging, and the Cardinals are gone in the first. A hit by Pujols, a man left, and the Reds are coming up in a scoreless game. to look at Dusty Baker's lineup. Presented by U.S. Bank. Willie Taveras leads off in center. Paul Janisch, a shortstop, will bat second. Joey Votto hitting third. Brandon Phillips, see his numbers in this ballpark. He begins the night 5 RBI shy of 100. Scott Rowland at third. Jay Bruce in right. A ladder third of Vladimir Valentin, Ramon Hernandez, and Homer Bailey. Talk about a year to be a free agent. That is a story for Joel Piñeiro. He has had a spectacular year. 15 and 11 ERA at 3.24. Really one of 3 pitchers in his Cardinal rotation that have just had unbelievable seasons. Little pop up by Taveras, easy for Lugo. 1 pitch and 1 out. Well, Piñeiro, yes, he's been good against the Reds. He's been good against everybody. See his career numbers. Tonight is his 3rd start against the Reds this season. He lost to them 6-4 back on the 8th of May. Allowed 2 runs in the first inning, 3 in the second. And then took a no decision in a Cardinal win back on the 3rd of July. He allowed 3 runs in 7 innings. Piñeiro in search of his 16th win. That would match his career high when he had that big year in 2003 with Seattle. Ball 1 to Paul Janisch. Paul at .218 with a home run and 15 runs batted in. In the air up the first base line. Pujols the call and the catch, and quickly 2 away. The Cardinals defensively, all their regulars in the lineup tonight except behind the plate. This will be the lineup you'll see in the playoffs. Holliday, Rasmus, Ludwig in the outfield. DeRosa, Lugo, Schumacher, and Pujols third to first. And Jason LaRue is filling in for the injured Yadier Molina. Molina had to leave the game the night the Cardinals clinched on Saturday. In the 4th inning, he bruised his left knee, and he had been on quite a roll. He's hadn't had much of an offensive year until this month of September. Ball 1 outside to Joey Votto. Yesterday, Votto named the National League's Player of the Week. That one lined hard into left, and making a nice play out there is Holliday, and that'll end the inning. 1, 2, 3 go the Reds. We go to the second in a scoreless game. For serious injuries. You can only wonder what could have been this year. When Jay Bruce and Joey Votto have been in the lineup together, look at that winning percentage for the Reds. .538. They've averaged 4.5 runs a game. Now without them, that means either one starts, the other one sits, or vice versa, or neither one in the lineup. And the record way under the 500 mark. So you look ahead to 2010. Obviously, you're hoping for both to be healthy first and foremost. Votto, no argument with his numbers. And Jay Bruce going to go to winter ball and hopefully find that stroke that we saw when he initially came to the big leagues last year. Scoreless game. We begin the second inning. And a Rookie of the Year candidate, Colby Rasmus, a fly ball to left field, and that's the first out in the inning. If you're wondering about that record with Votto and Bruce, and certainly a lot of that has come lately, a lot of that came early before Votto went on the DL and long before Jay Bruce got hurt. So that winning percentage up over 500. 35-30 the record with both of them in the lineup together. Without one, without the other, or without both. 13 games under 500. 39 up, 52 down. Well, here's Ryan Ludwick. He's getting tuned up for the postseason. Got off to the monster start in April, really cooled off in May, June, and July, and has been knocking the cover off the ball ever since. 92 RBIs for Ludwick. Well, you look up and down this Cardinal lineup, and you think about having to pitch to this team and play this team in the postseason. Schumacher hitting over 300 in a leadoff spot. Pujols in a 3-hole, 132 knocked in. Holiday over 100 batted in between Oakland and St. Louis. Fouled away by Ludwick, still 0-2. You've got Rasmus having a good year. Ludwick over 90 RBIs. DeRosa between Cleveland and the Cardinals. He's batting in the 7-hole. Bellino bit a hit in 8th when they play in the playoffs. They're going to be a hard team to beat. 1-2 to Ludwick. Homer a long look in, and now the 1-2 on Ryan Ludwick. Hit off the end of the bat. We'll do it again. You know, you talk about the Cardinals, and you know, what do they have to play for? They won the division. We brought up earlier that they're 2.5 behind the Dodgers for the best record in the National League. Doable? Perhaps. Likely? No. So now you start looking at the wild card. Colorado, a 2-game lead over surging Atlanta, going into play tonight. Fouled away again, still 1-2. If the wild card comes out of the National League West, Colorado can't play the Dodgers in the opening round. So they would play the division champion with the next best record. And you see Philadelphia 90 up, 66 down. The Cardinals 90 up, 66 down. And you wonder, who would they rather play? Sounds ridiculous. Of course you'd rather play Colorado than the Dodgers. Well, you start looking at how they've done against one another. Colorado has beaten St. Louis 6 out of 7 times this year. 2-2 to Ludwick. And there's strike 3 called on the inside corner. He did not like it. Gary Cederstrom rings him up, and that's strikeout number 2 in the game for Bailey. 2 more than he had in 6 innings. His last time out, a win against the Pirates. Now Mark DeRosa. Strike 1. And 1 account on DeRosa, who came over from Cleveland before the trade deadline. Of course, he spent all of last year with the Cubs. And they're still shaking their head in disbelief that the Cubs management allowed DeRosa to leave. They traded him to Cleveland and signed the troubled Milton Bradley, who of course is not even playing for him. Fly ball short left, and the inning is over. 1-2-3 for Bailey. We move to the bottom of the second of a scoreless game. Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. For a dealer near you, visit buyatoyota.com. JTM, food, family fun, JTM. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Jeep. Ground ball in the hole, fielded by Lugo, and his throw will pull Pujols off the bag. That'll be an infield hit for Brandon Phillips. First base runner of the game for the Reds after being set down 1-2-3 in the first. Brandon 5 RBIs away from 100. Trying to become the first Red second baseman to knock in 100 runs in a year since the great Joe Morgan. He's got 6 games to do it. Now Scott Rowland, the longtime St. Louis Cardinal. Now, we were talking earlier about St. Louis winning this year its 7th divisional title in this decade. 7 out of 10, including this year. And Rowland a big part of so many of those in the early part of the decade. Had a run-in with Tony La Russa his final year in St. Louis when Rowland was injured and didn't tell his manager about it. And La Russa got very upset, feeling that Rowland wasn't helping the team. But boy, you know Rowland. I mean, he is as tough and as hard-nosed a player as anybody that puts on a uniform day in and day out in either league. And it got ugly for a while there between La Russa and Rowland. Both stubborn, both winners, but 2 very stubborn guys, Scott Rowland and Tony La Russa. And I don't say that in a negative way. Often you can say it in that vein, but Rowland wanted to be out there competing and trying to win a championship, which they did. You know, La Russa wanted him out there, but apparently didn't want him out there if he wasn't at his best. Look at those numbers for Rowland. So many of those playing for that man. Two and two. Tony La Russa, in fact, is now 1 game shy, 1 game away of tying John McGraw for second on the all-time list in games managed. 4,769 it'll be tomorrow for Tony La Russa. Connie Mack is the all-time leader, and no one's going to get near that record. Connie Mack managed in a staggering 7,755 games. Three and 2 on Rowland. There goes Phillips, and it's ball 4, and the Reds have it working to begin the second inning. A hit and a walk. Let's take a look at our Geico direct quote of the game. It comes from Joey Votto. We asked him about becoming the National League's Player of the Week and his thoughts about it.
I was really glad to have played well last week because we won. You know, had I played well and we lost every one of our games, it would have been a nice award, but it would have been a pretty selfish award. So, again, I'm just trying to do my best, and I know it sounds cliche, but really genuinely do my best because I know I'm important to the team.
Well, he's not lying about that. But a nice award to have nonetheless. And because the Reds won all but one of those games. Now Jay Bruce, Brandon Phillips out at second base, and Scott Rowland over at first. 2-0. Jay checks in at 220, 20 home runs, 52 runs batted in. Now the thing about Piñeiro, he rarely walks guys, so that walk a moment ago to Rowland, rare indeed. And he gets a lot of ground balls, more than any other pitcher in the National League this season. 2-0 pitch in the air and out of play. 2-1 to Bruce. Of course, that honor belonged to Brandon Webb. Ever since Webb broke into major leagues in 2003 as being the premier ground ball pitcher. but with Webb hurt almost the entire season. That honor now belongs to the man on the mound tonight, Piñeiro. First in all of Major League Baseball, nearly a 3-to-1 ground ball to fly ball ratio. And talk about inducing the double play ball, 28 of them. Three and one to Bruce. Every hitter loves a 3-1 count, and the Reds are hoping that pitch selection becomes better for Jay Bruce and that he gets more hits on 3-1 counts. Like that one. A ton to right field, and the Reds have a 3-0 lead. Home run number 21 for Jay Bruce, and very little doubt when it left the bat. Fastball right down the middle, and Bruce did not miss it. So that's what you're supposed to do to 3-1 pitches, just hammer. Three in and nobody out, still in the Reds' second inning, and it's strike one to Vladimir Valentin. Boy, you get the feeling Jay Bruce is already chomping at the bit, looking ahead to 2010. It speaks a lot about the young man, knowing how much time he missed this season with that broken bone in his wrist. That he wants to go down to winter ball and make up for all those missed at bats he's had during this regular season. Well, let's face it, it's been a tough year for him. Batting average has been in the very low 200s. Yes, there's been lots of power, but Jay has said it himself. The home runs, they'll come if he's hitting the ball the way he believes he will hit, and the way at times we've seen him hit. Power's not a problem for Jay Bruce. 2-2 to Valentin. One hopper down to third. And DeRosa throws him out number one here in the second inning. Kevin McGuff going to join us in the top of the third inning. Stop by and say hello. Of course, he is the head coach of the Xavier University women's basketball team. And they believe over on the XU campus they are going to have a monster year in women's basketball. We'll ask him about that at the top of the third, and we invite you to stick around. One out, three in for Ramon Hernandez, and there's ball one low from Joel Piñeiro. One hopper played nicely by Schumacher, and that's out number two. We have seen two things in this inning against Piñeiro that rarely ever happen, and two of them happen in the same inning. One, he walked somebody. He's only walked 25 batters in over 200 innings. Secondly, he allowed a home run. In over 200 innings, he had only given up 7 home runs the entire year. 7. Bailey in the hole at short. Lugo fields, throws. Did not get him. Bailey legs it out for an infield hit. Good effort by Lugo. Homer only 2 hits and 33 at bats until this. Bailey still young. Long, lean, runs well. Nothing wrong with smiling after a base hit, right? Now Taveras. Ball one. Willie popped up to the shortstop Lugo in the Reds' first inning. One and one on Taveras. Certainly Willie going to be in a fight when he shows up for spring training next year, unless something were to change. Bruce Stubbs has played quite well out there since being brought up and playing every day with Taveras out hurt until recently. Chris Dickerson played very well in center. Most of the time early in the year came and left, but played his best baseball this season while playing center. 1-2 on Taveras. You know Bruce will be back. Get a look at Stubbs. He only hit 3 home runs the entire year at AAA Louisville. More than double, nearly triple that number in 37 games at the major leagues. 2-2 on Taveras. Each of them has their strengths. Each has their weaknesses. It's conceivable that Dickerson could open the year next year in left field. See how it plays out. One hopper back to the mound, and that's sad, but a scoring second for the Reds. A hit by Phillips, a walk to Rolen, a long one by Bruce, and the Reds out in front at the end of 2, 3-0. Into Indianapolis to take on Peyton Manning and the Colts, and later Tony Romo and the Cowboys go to Denver to take on the unbeaten Broncos. Coverage begins Sunday with America's #1 pregame show beginning at noon on Sunday. Well, a pleasure to be joined by Kevin McGuff, the head coach women's basketball at Xavier University. And well, Coach, here you are in 6 years. You've won what, 20 or more games 5 times, been to 7 straight postseason tournaments, including 4 NCAA tournaments. First of all, congratulations for all that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hamilton-Baden High.
Yeah, great place to grow up, and obviously a great opportunity to come back to the area, be the head coach at Xavier.
How have you done it at Xavier? There are a lot of people out there, and a lot of people wonder that about the men's program. But the women's program, I mean, you've really built this thing up into a legitimate national power.
You know what? Xavier's a great place to be. You know, we have a unique, I think, commitment to basketball, and especially on the women's side, we've really separated ourselves with how hard we work to be good at basketball. And I'm just really fortunate. We've had some great players here lately, and we've really been able to establish ourselves as a national program.
You and I were talking off the air, Coach, a moment ago, and I asked you, what kind of team you're going to have this year, knowing all the success that you guys had last year. And there are some out there that that feel like you guys have a legitimate chance to be a top 10 team in the country. Do you feel that way? I mean, all things considered, good health, knock on wood, good Lord willing, everybody's all right?
Yeah, you know what? I have really, really high expectations for this team. More importantly, they have high expectations for themselves. And I really believe we can be among the best in the country this year. And we've got a great schedule in place. And we'll be playing all over the United States and against the best competition out there. So I think it's a great opportunity for our team to go out there and prove ourselves as a team that can be among the best.
Now, I'm going to be the first to admit, I have not followed a lot of your games. There are a lot of people out there that perhaps have not followed your games. And, you know, oftentimes I think those are the people that you really want to introduce to the program. Absolutely. Because, I mean, the people who follow you, they're going to follow you. Mm-hmm. The people who know about the players that you have, know about all the success that you have, they're going to follow you. But for the people that don't know out there, and I was certainly right at the top of the list, I mean, you've got a couple of players coming back this season that are among the top players in all of women's college basketball.
I think we've got the best post players in America, and I'm not afraid to say that. And we had Amber Harris, who was the #1 player in America coming out of high school, McDonald's All-American, who didn't play last year because she had an injury that prevented her from being a part of our team. Couple her with Tashia Phillips, who spent this past summer on the World University Games team that won a gold medal in Serbia. And I'm really confident that we have the best post players in America. And round that out with April Phillips, who's a senior and is also a post player. And we have a really exciting team. We play an exciting brand of basketball. We're going to really push the tempo, and it's going to be a great season for us. And I would just really love to make the Cintas Center one of the toughest places in America to play. So for all you fans out there, come out and watch. It's going to be a great year.
Now let me ask you, you open your season when? End of November?
We open our season November 13th at USC on the West Coast. Yeah.
Another good program.
Great program, and a great opportunity for us to go on the West Coast and hopefully get a big win.
Ground ball back up into center field. A good at bat by the former Red, Jason LaRue. A 3-2 pitch and a single into center field. I would imagine growing up in Hamilton, you grew up a big Reds fan.
Huge Reds fan, huge Bengals fans. I love the hometown teams, and it's exciting to be here tonight, and I appreciate you guys having me.
Did you grow up a big UC fan too?
I did not.
Tell the truth now. Come on.
You know, my dad is a Xavier graduate.
Okay.
So to say that we've been a part of that university a long time would be very accurate.
That's great. That's great. Kevin McGuff, kind enough to join us. He is the head basketball coach for Xavier women's basketball. And man, you look at some of the numbers that they have put up the last couple of years as Pinheiro fouls off the first pitch, strike one. I mean, you're the winningest coach in Xavier history.
You know what?
How does that feel?
It feels great, but it's really a reflection of the university and their commitment to basketball. And I've been really fortunate to have great players and great staffs along the way. And it's a great place to be, and it's a great city to live in. So I feel really fortunate to be the head coach at Xavier.
0-1 to Pinheiro, and he bunts it up the first baseline foul. All right, before we get any further, for those that are watching and listening to Coach McGuff right now, if you're interested in getting tickets to the basketball games, XU women's basketball, you see the numbers 745-3411. That's 513-745-3411. You can go to GoXavier.com. The first home game, November the 21st, another very good basketball program at Arizona State University.
Yeah, when I say we put together one of the toughest schedules in America, I'm not kidding. It's exciting, though, because we've got a great team, and I really feel like the best way for us to progress through the season is to challenge us as much as possible. So you'll see a lot of great opponents on that schedule. And like I said, we would just love to have people come out to the Cintas Center, and that's kind of my goal, is to not only have a great team like we have, but to make that one of the toughest places in America for people to come play.
Kevin, when you're going out to recruit, and, you know, for many years, the men's, I hate to keep getting back to them, because, but I mean, you've done the same thing with the women's program as Pinheiro fouls it away. They're really the Bob Stacks and the Pete Gillens and those guys did on the men's side so many years ago. We know as Cincinnatians, and having grown up here myself and now moving back, what a great city this is to live in, to raise a family, and to go to college in. But when you're going to recruit players outside this city, even outside of this state, that maybe don't know much about Xavier, how are you selling those young ladies on your program? Because you're getting big-time players in here that could go to a lot of places.
You know, what we really emphasize is the fact that we have a great university, and they're going to get a quality education that's going to impact them the rest of their lives. At the same time, they get to play in a big-time basketball program. So when you kind of mesh the small intimate academic experience they'll get at Xavier with a big-time basketball program, I think it's really unique. And when people come on campus and they get a chance to see the facilities and talk to people, they really come away knowing that that's going to be someplace special. And so when we get them on campus, we do very, very well.
It is very impressive what you have done over there in a very short amount of time. You've got your, seventh season coming up, right?
This will be my eighth
season. I'm sorry, 7 seasons already. Yeah, of course, 7 times you've been to the postseason since taking over at X. Fouled away by Schumacher, 0-2. And again, one more time, you can go to GoXavier.com to look up tickets. We'll give you the phone number one more time as well if you'd like to come out and see the Lady Musketeers. 513-745-3411. Kevin, we wish you nothing but the very best, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on tonight.
Oh, we loved having you. I like that pullover, too. That's good looking.
Okay, thank you.
And did you say you just turned 40 or you're turning?
I'm about to turn 40 in December. Also, my wife and I are expecting our 4th child in December.
Really?
Yes. Got my hands
three
full.
there to Shoemake. Women, before you usually have 3 kids.
3 kids right now.
And they're how old? What do you have? Say hello to everybody. They're watching right now, right? Or are they even are they up?
Actually, my wife's trying to get them to bed right now.
Okay.
But we have a 6-year-old girl, a 4-year-old girl, an 18-month-old son, and we'll have our 4th child here in December, of which we don't know yet what we're having.
Well, thoughts and prayers on a happy, healthy delivery.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And the best of luck this season. We'll come out and see you. Thanks for coming up tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm sure your wife's not happy. She's putting the kids to bed by herself. And you're getting ready to never be there every night, right?
That's right. For this, though, she was excited for me to get this opportunity.
All right. Well, tell her we said hello.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time, Coach. Kevin McGuff, kind enough to join us up here. The head basketball coach, the winningest coach in Xavier women's basketball history. That is saying something. We wish them well. We'll be following them all year long right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Well, 2 away in the inning here, and Julio Lugo digging in for the 2nd time. He takes inside 2 balls and a strike. So a leadoff single by LaRue. But Bailey has racked up back-to-back strikeouts since then. In the air down the right field line. Bruce Silver near it and appears to have room. Looked like he just whiffed on it. Looked like Jay misjudged how much room he had. He put his foot up there, and it looked like he didn't even need to do that. I'm sure Jay will tell you after the game he probably feels as though he should have made that catch. A second life now for Lugo. Reds are leading 3-0 on the Bruce 3-run homer. And this should be the final out of the inning. Brandon Phillips in the outfield grass, and that is that. A leadoff single, no damage done. Middle of the 3rd, and the Reds with a 3-0 lead. Well, you know about the beautiful new Toyota Tundra we've had all summer here at Great American Ballpark. If a Reds player hits a sign in left center or the more reachable one in right center tonight, Herb Scharfenberger will win that Toyota Tundra. And we thank our friends from our Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. My question is, the sign has not been hit all year long, including tonight. There are 6 games remaining here at Great American Ballpark in this 09 season. Who gets that thing if no one hits a sign? Maybe a nice retirement present for our good friend Hal McCoy from the Dayton Daily News. Very nice. On the ground to short, and Lugo throws out Paul Janisch, leading off the Reds' 3rd inning. Jay Bruce a 3-run home run in the 2nd, and that's where we stand in the 3rd. Look who's here tonight. The man. The man. That's all that needs to be said. The man. Peter Edward Rose. 4,256 career hits. I can never get that number out of my mind. Many of you can't either. I find myself thinking about it all the time. Recently, when Derek Jeter became the all-time hits leader in the history of the New York Yankees, and that number's not even 3,000. I'm not knocking Derek Jeter. I'm just saying, who's been better than Derek Jeter for the last 15 years, right? For a guy you'd want on your team, leading your franchise like Peter Edward Rose did. And he would need another 2,000 knocks almost to get there. Huh. Three and 0 to Joey Votto, who bats with 1 out and nobody on in the 3rd inning. It's been really nice to have Pete out of the ballpark more and more this summer. Three and 1 on Joey Votto. Derek Jeter's hit total, including this year, if you're wondering, 2,742. 2742. And Rose is 4256. In the air, down the line. Is it fair? Is it foul? It is fair, and it is gone. So the reigning National League Player of the Week is off and rolling to start a new week. Home run number 24, RBI 81, 4-0 Reds. Both home runs tonight against Pinheiro have come on 3-1 pitches. The 3-1 pitch, a 3-run home run by Bruce in the 2nd, and the home run on a 3-1 pitch by Votto here in the 3rd. Brandon Phillips looks at ball 1. He had an infield hit to start the 3-run rally an inning ago. Well, you look at Votto's numbers. The batting average up over 320, the 24 home runs and the 81 batted in. It's a real safe bet when you think about all the games that he missed on the DL. Nearly a month and a half, coupled with a number of games that either he just had off or those where he started, had to leave because he was dizzy when he had that inner ear infection. Games that he would come in too late after not starting. What would those numbers look like had he gotten 150 starts this year? No doubt over 30 home runs. Very little doubt over 100, 105, 110 RBIs. Three and 2 on Brandon Phillips. 3-2. Rounded down to third. And DeRosa will throw out Phillips. 2 away in the inning. We'll never forget number 4192 when Pete Rose at Old Riverfront Stadium became baseball's all-time hits leader, surpassing Ty Cobb. And such an emotional night in this city. And for Pete, his son came out, gave him a hug, broke down, started crying. His old friend and longtime teammate Tommy Helms was there. I'll never forget, because I had come back the night before to see it, had made the drive from Athens, Ohio, came in to see Pete break that record, and of course he took an oath. I never let him forget that, because I couldn't make that drive another day. Had to be back for class the next day. Most times you'd have cut class, but we had already cut him that day, so I wasn't going to do it again. And so I always remind him of that. Why couldn't you have done it one night early? Fly ball to left field, and that'll do it in the inning. Jay Bruce in the second with 2 on, and Joey Votto a solo shot in the third. It adds up to a 4-0 Reds lead. What 4 teams do not have their city or state name on their road jersey? All right. Give you a little while to think about that. Having problems apparently with the headset, who was making a cameo appearance, albeit an unpaid one tonight, here on Fox Sports Ohio. None other than the Hall of Famer, my father, your friend for 37 years, Reds on Radio, Marty Brennaman.
I'm trying to bail you out again, pal. Gee.
Been a long road bailing
for 46 years I've been doing it. Here we go. The Cowboys not here. Ask the old man to come over.
Well, I need a little help tonight. Running this operation solo, and we figured who better than the Hall of Famer
certainly
to have come over. All your years, and you're asked this all the time about the best player you've seen.
He's the best.
I was getting ready to say, has anybody been better than this guy?
Over a long period of time. The best player I've ever seen for 2 years was Joe Morgan when he won the MVP awards, but I saw him every day. This guy here, I don't know how you describe him, and he just missed that pitch. The highest compliment I can pay him, Tom, is he makes the most difficult game of all to play look easy. And he does. I mean, you're not supposed to be this good. I don't care what people say about football or basketball or hockey. This is the single toughest sport of all to play well. And for this guy to play it the way he plays it, there's something wrong.
It really is extraordinary.
It is. It's unbelievable.
Look at these numbers. He's the first player ever by hitting 30 or more home runs in his first 9 seasons in the major leagues. Oh, by the way, he blew by that about a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Yeah, and the other part of the equation is in all the years I've been around, I can never remember a year, and I don't think I'll ever have another year that I can make this statement. That's a base hit up the middle from Matt Holliday, or is it? Yeah, he beats the throw. A nice play by Brandon Phillips.
Oh, so wait a minute, before you go any further, are you going to do the play-by-play?
If I'm talking, which I'll probably will be most of the time, trying to help you out.
But you told me you weren't going to do the play-by-play unless you got paid. Why are you looking at Jesse?
Ask Christian if I get paid again.
Christian Roberts, our illustrious producer.
Yeah, illustrious is a stretch. Yeah, he went into his pocket tonight. I said, I'll be in there less than what I walked in with.
So please continue.
The other point I wanted to make is, if anybody in the MVP voting votes for anybody other than him, they ought to have their privilege rescinded. I'm serious. With all due respect to Hanley Ramirez, who's going to win the batting title, the years that Prince Fielder has had in Milwaukee, that Ryan Howard has had in Philadelphia, if you vote for anybody other than Albert Pujols, something is wrong. It's ridiculous. He's so good.
Well, I mean, when you look at the entire package, not only his offensive numbers, but the stolen bases tonight, he gets 16 of those. He goes first to third as good as anybody in the game. And I mean even guys that are known as good base runners, faster base runners than Pujols.
Correct.
He's already set the league record for most assists in a season by a first baseman, where he won a Gold Glove.
And off the field, what he and his wife do in the city of St. Louis is just special. I mean, the guy's a special person.
Well, we always tell the story about Pujols, about when he was a very, very young man. He's still a young man, but when he first came to the major leagues, and let's be honest about it. You're a young guy. You make it to the major leagues. You're exposed to making good money. You're exposed to beautiful women. You're exposed to a lifestyle that most people only think about or read about or see on TV.
Right.
Here he meets a young woman who has a child with Down syndrome.
Yep.
How many single guys do you know out there are going to have a second date with that woman? I mean, really, I'm not saying there aren't guys out there that would do it, but I think it tells you a lot about his character. He married that woman. They have their own children together, but he's become the voice of children with Down syndrome and special needs childs all over St. Louis and all over America.
He has a very successful golf tournament every summer to raise a lot of money, and I mean a lot of money. And he just devotes a lot of time out of uniform. And you could go the rest of the night and talk about all the things this guy does in and out of uniform, and you probably still would not do him justice.
Are you doing the play-by-play, or am I doing it? Have we figured that out?
Yeah, I just realized I ain't getting paid. You got it.
Here's a base hit to right field by Colby Rasmus. You got to be kidding me.
About what? I feel underdressed to begin with.
Well, you're very underdressed.
I sit down here. I know I am. I am underdressed, especially sitting next to the guy who does the best Jim Tressel impersonation I've ever seen in my life.
You kind of like the best look.
That's a big old negative. That's a great big old negative.
All right.
I like the Pete Carroll look.
You do?
Yeah.
There's a check swing, and they appeal, and that is a strike.
Now, how about that line? What Christian just said to me? Is it the biggest payment my sons love? What a trite thing to say. You got to be kidding me.
I think it's a legitimate question. 0-1 the count on Ryan Ludwick. 2 on. With 1 out, the Reds leading 4-0. It's a ball and a strike.
Now, who do you pick to win the World Series? Still talking?
No, I really haven't sat down to think a whole lot about it, to be honest with you.
Well, see, I have.
So who are you picking?
That team right there in that third base duck.
Okay.
I certainly am.
And which team are you picking them to beat in the World Series?
I haven't gone that far yet.
Well, you just determined a winner.
I have picked all my postseason award winners. I've chosen the Cardinals as the team to win the World Championship. And that's an honest to God truth right there.
That's the first good graphic they put up all summer.
That's the only one they put up that makes any sense. The old man needs to be paid. I'm not going to make an issue out of it. I know Fox has more money than the Mint.
There's a roller back to the mound, and Bailey will throw out Ludwick for the second out of the inning. Holliday on to third, and Rasmus on to second.
I just, for some reason, on a serious note, I like this team. I like its makeup. I like the fact that despite the way Pinheiro has pitched tonight, I still think they've got 3 solid starters, 2 of whom are probably going to battle it out in a very close Cy Young Award race. And I think when you got a guy like they had at first base, again, going back to Pujols and the addition of Holiday, everybody says it's down to Ryan Franklin and he's struggling in the month of September. I could not disagree with those people more. Ryan Franklin will figure it out. He's had a great year, and just because he's had some games where he didn't get the job done in the month of September, that doesn't affect me, in my opinion, about where they're going to go at all.
Of course, every team, when you look ahead to the postseason and what teams might be in there, and let's face it, 3 of them we know for sure are in there, and a 4th we're still waiting on.
Yep.
With a wild card race down to 2-game spread between Colorado and Atlanta. All 3 of the division champions have bona fide strengths and bona fide weaknesses.
I think every team in both leagues do. I don't think you can pick any team from this league, and I agree with that, or the American League, even the Yankees, and say they don't have a problem that could mushroom in the offseason.
No doubt about it.
Or in the postseason. The club I would not want to be is a club that's going to defend its world championship. I don't believe you can win a World Series and not have a hammer at the back end of their bullpen, and they've tried like the Dickens all year long, and Brad Lidge simply is not it. They got a problem.
1-2 the count on DeRosa, and a check swing and a miss, and Bailey just blew him away. Well, since you've already teased the fact that you have picked your postseason award winners individually, we'll ask you about those in the bottom of the 4th. Checks in the mail. All right, time to answer our Aflac trivia question. What 4 teams do not have their city or state name on their road jersey? So we know one of them's here tonight. Cardinals, the LA Angels of Anaheim. That'd be a lot to put their city on there. The Philadelphia Phillies and the Tampa Bay Rays.
There you go.
Just out of curiosity, if you own the Angels, Artie Moreno.
Yeah, you know him very well.
I do. Good man.
Yes.
Reds leading 4-0 as they bat in the bottom of the 4th inning. If he had in mind to make a uniform change for his team, would you put Anaheim on the jersey or Los Angeles and then Anaheim underneath it?
I wouldn't do that. That would look a little tacky.
Fly ball in the left field by Bruce. 1 away.
You know, that's a tired question. Looking to take up time is what you're doing. That's what you're doing. Looking to take up time.
But you like generally those you know, sort of, I'm not going to say ridiculous questions, but you generally
that was
like
one
those,
right there.
I know, but you generally like those kinds of questions.
I love those kinds of questions.
Well, then why don't you answer that? Would you put Los Angeles or would you put Anaheim?
I said I wouldn't do both of them on.
I know that.
So I guess I answered your question.
No, but would you put one or the other on? Los Angeles or Anaheim?
I do. You know what I do? I'd be different. I wouldn't put anything on. I would be one of 30 teams that didn't have anything on the front of there.
Nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Or maybe sell it to a sponsor. Disney World or something like that.
I'm sure Artie Moreno would actually like to do that.
He probably would.
There's a ground ball to short, and Lugo throws out Valentine. All right, quickly now. There's already 2 outs in the inning. Your National League MVP we know is Pujols.
Correct.
Your Cy Young Award winner, I'm
Adam
assuming.
Wainwright.
All right, Adam Wainwright.
Manager of the Year in the National League. Who the heck did I pick?
Jim Tracy?
Yes.
Okay.
Jim Tracy.
Rookie of the Year, that's a tough one.
Rookie of the Year in the National League. I'm trying to remember who I picked.
I got to tell you, the guy that I couldn't believe
Tommy
how good
Hansen
he was.
of Atlanta.
Coghlan.
I know that, but I know, but he hasn't been there the whole year. I tell you who's, you know what? Garrett Jones. Guy's going to end up playing about half the games and end up with 20-plus home runs, bat over 300 in Philadelphia. The fact that he's going to play barely a half a year is going to hurt him. But he's had a great season. Executive of the Year in the National League would probably be Dan O'Dowd in Colorado.
American League, did you do the same for the American League?
Miguel Cabrera, MVP.
Yes.
Now you say yes, but you don't mean it.
There's a ground ball to Pujols, and that'll end the inning.
Thank God I'm done.
Well, you got to go back and do the play-by-play on radio. We've decided, executive decision, we'll do this about 10, 15 times next year.
I get paid, I'm over here.
Nice having you. Up to speed with the AT&T Rapid Rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Well, for those of you just joining us, we have a revolving door working here tonight, and believe me, nobody appreciates it more than yours truly. We had Marty Brennaman stop by for a half inning, and joining us here in inning number 5, the host of Reds Live, pre-game, post-game edition, Mr. Jeff Piecoro, with Jeff Brantley out sick, and I know we're all concerned about the Cowboy.
We are. We all wish him well. I know he's sitting back in his hotel room, hopefully getting better, or his house, and watching us.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. I have to follow the Brennaman and Brennaman Comedy Act. That's always fun.
Well, thank God you're here and he's gone.
You do look a lot like Jim Tressel, though. I wish that was red, or had the big block O on the left chest.
I'd like his salary for about a 3-year run.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
That would be nice. I hear you.
1-1 to Jason LaRue, a check swing, one hopper in the hole. Time for Giannis. Good throw. And LaRue legs it out. An excuse me swing by LaRue, and he's 2 for 2.
Well, how about Jason LaRue? Molina goes down with the injury, comes in, hits the big home run. 2 for 2 tonight.
Now, you were here when he was around, right?
Yes, sir.
One of the real likable guys in baseball. You know, the Reds have had a lot of those guys, those catchers through the years that, you know, you can't help but like them, right?
Well, you know what was fun about him was his kid. They called him Dirt because he was here every day, and like Weather's kid, except he was a lot younger, he was filthy from head to toe. Every day.
Really?
Every day. Looked just like his dad. Just like that. Long hair, goatee, and everything.
That's funny. Dad's made a nice career for himself.
Well, he really has. Great defensive catcher, great arm. Again, the only question with him is, can you afford a catcher that only hits 230? If that. This year he's at under that. 237, so right around his career average.
0-1 the count on Joel Pinheiro. Reds leading 4-0. They got a 3-run home run by Jay Bruce in the second inning, a solo home run by Joey Votto in the third. Pinheiro tried to bunt his last time up and struck out by doing that, and he's behind 0-2. You know, you may not think a big deal, you know, in situations like this for a guy like Pinheiro, but don't believe that for a second, knowing who his manager is, because he knows Pinheiro is going to have to do this come October.
He's got to get that ball in play. Second time, he's fouled off 3 the last time to strike out. Now he's down 0-2 again. It's so important to get that runner to second base when you flip over the lineup.
No sign of a bunt on a 2-strike pitch.
Yeah, saw what he did last time. Maybe he hits it to the right side.
Roland still in on the grass at third. And the 1-2 is outside, 2-2.
You know, Tom, I heard you talking earlier about Pinheiro and how what a great season he's had. But, boy, how about this kid on the mound, how he's turned things around his last 7 starts. He really looks comfortable, and you can just see that confidence as we talk to him. It grows every single day.
Kind of curious from your perspective, Jeff, and you know, oftentimes, as again, Pinheiro cannot get the job done. He fouls it away, strike 3. You know, you're a guy, I think, more than any of the rest of us, to be honest with you. You and Jim Day being around the team really every single day. And, you know, oftentimes you're asking this guy to join you in a pregame show for an interview or after the game for an interview. Have you seen a change in Homer Bailey from the time he came up, or even from the time he came up earlier this year, then was sent back down?
Tom, 180 degrees. You can tell he's a lot more comfortable around us. And when I say us, I mean the whole media. I really think he's matured, not only as a player, but as a person. And that's really helped him understand the game. He's been around it long enough now. He's been around some great pitchers. He's been able to soak in advice from them. And also he listens to Dick Poole and Dusty. They talk quite a bit. And the catchers that he's had, Ramon, has done a great job with him. And I just think he's grown as a person. He's matured. You got to remember how young he is, and we kind of forget that because he's been around for so long. But he's finally maturing, and I think that's really helped him baseball-wise. He understands, hey, I'm not just Sandy Koufax, Tom Seaver, whatever. I am who I am. I've got to listen to those other people. And now that he's doing that, you see the results.
1-0 the count on Schumacher. Now 2 balls and no strikes. Bailey, who did not strike out a batter, we mentioned his last start against the Pirates, when he went 6, allowed 4 hits and 2 runs and a win, has already struck out 6 in the game here tonight.
You know, Tom, his last 7 starts are as good as anybody in baseball. 4-1 with a 1.99 ERA, 45 in the 3rd innings, just 10 earned runs, plus 2 blown saves. He could be 6-1 his last 7 starts. And the same can be held true with tomorrow's starter, who's maybe on the best roll of anybody this year in Bronson Arroyo. You look at what this team has been able to do without Harang and Volquez. It's incredible, pitching-wise.
Fouled out of play, 2-2 to Skip Schumacher with 1 on and 1 out here in the 5th, and the Reds leading 4-0. Well, one thing we do know is with Volquez going down, Harang with the emergency appendectomy out for the rest of the year, and of course Edinson, not sure when he's going to be back. It's going to be at least into, you know, July of next season. But the way Bailey has stepped up, Justin Lear has stepped up in his short amount of time in the big leagues, and Matt Maloney here since coming back up. There is legitimate competition and good pitchers in that competition to fill out the rotation next year.
I think the one guy that can't wait for this season to end is Justin Lear, though. He has thrown a ton of innings over the past 10-11 months. He can't wait to get a break. He's 5 miles per hour off what he is usually.
3-2 pitch in the air down the left field line out of play.
But you're right, Tom. They've got some young pitchers, and I call them young. Maloney, Lear obviously isn't. But again, guys that have grown in their confidence each and every start. And as we see Justin Lear on the bench there, these guys are really coming into their own. I think they work well with the catchers here. They've listened to Dick Pohl. They've listened to Stefanski and the things that they've told them and taught them how to do, and they just get better and better each time out.
3-2 again to Schumacher with a runner going, and it's taken high, ball 4. So 2-on with 1 out, the Reds leading 4-0. We remind you this Sunday, the final game of the regular season. It's Fan Appreciation Day. The Reds will thank fans with prize giveaways from Reds sponsors and partners throughout that final game. Plus, students get in the ballpark half price. For your tickets, call 381-REDS or log on to Reds.com. The final weekend of the year and Fan Appreciation Day, the final game on Sunday. That walk by Bailey is first given up in the game. And here's Julio Lugo with 2 on and 1 out. Ball 1. Only 2 ground ball outs in the game for Homer Bailey. We'd love to get a ground ball to somebody in the infield here and stay as far away from Pujols as possible, and him batting with anybody on base.
Are you surprised with Brendan Ryan, as highly thought of as he is, that they went out and got Lugo and the job that Lugo's been able to do for this team?
Yes and yes.
I kind of thought Lugo was one of those guys that maybe wasn't the best teammate kind of guy. They said no problem at all since he came over here. Super guy. He's hitting 280. Very good shortstop. We all know that. He's another one of those kind of, I don't want to say reclamation projects, but another one of those guys that get in that Cardinal system, and for whatever reason, they seem to flourish there.
2-1 to Lugo with 2 on and 1 out. And a liner into center field is a base hit. They're going to hold LaRue, even though it looked like Taveras had pretty much conceded that LaRue would score. And now the bases are loaded in a 4-0 game for who else? Albert Pujols.
Tommy Dusty always says you can't mess with this guy. You're got him out once, got that line drive his first time up. You just don't want him up to bat with runners on base, and now you've got no place to put him. And this will be a great test now for Homer Bailey.
Albert Pujols has hit 5 grand slams this season, which ties a National League single season record with the Hall of Famer Ernie Banks in 1955. So he has a chance to break that record right here and right now. Loaded with 1 out and a first pitch breaking ball, and that is a beauty in there from Homer. Strike 1.
Watch Pujols. Well, that was filthy.
Bailey works out of the stretch. Of course, it was Pujols who had such tremendous high praise for Homer Bailey the last time Bailey pitched against St. Louis in this ballpark. It was all the way back on August the 12th. Oh, and 1 to Albert Pujols. Bases loaded. In the air, straightaway center field, will stay in the yard. Sac fly RBI by Pujols. And going to third, no throw there. Sliding in safely is Schumacher. Sac fly RBI by Pujols makes it a 4-1 game, but you kept him in the yard.
But what Bailey did is he went up the ladder and watched the pitch. It's going to come in high, and Pujols just gets under it. And I think that's exactly what Homer wanted to do. He got the out. They scored a run, but you're still up 3. That's one of the things he talked about earlier you learn to do. You don't have to strike everybody out. You've got a 4-run lead. Pump those fastballs in there, hit your spots. And that time, Hernandez wanted it up in the zone. He got it up and popped him out. You still have a 3-run lead.
One more tough out to get in Matt Holliday. First pitch fastball inside at 96 miles per hour. So the Cardinals break through here in the 5th, but the Reds still lead by 3. Roller foul, and it's 1-1 on Holliday.
Well, Tom, I've been in here almost, 10 minutes now? I can't believe you haven't asked me about Saturday yet.
I'm not going to do it.
Okay, thank you.
You're playing a #1 team in the country, right?
They're pretty good.
For those who don't know, Jeff, of course, every single Saturday calls University of Kentucky Wildcats football game. And they happened to run into the Florida Gators over the weekend, and it was ugly early.
They're really good. I
mean,
there's
they're
not
really
a lot. You know, I knew that you were impressed with their speed when you did the national championship game, and it is amazing how fast. I think from the first play of the game, the Kentucky kids were like, whoa. I mean, it was across the board speed.
2-1 to Holliday.
Tom, you'll be calling a lot of those guys on Sundays next year, and especially Superman. You know, we got one in this game. Well, they got one that plays quarterback for them, who took a heck of a hit, but he'll be back.
Spent a night in the hospital. Tim Tebow did, and it looks like he's all right, and they're hoping to have him back for LSU next week. 2-1. Breaking ball away. 3 balls and a strike. Homer having a hard time with command in this inning. He's thrown a lot of strikes in the game, but has fallen behind just about every single batter after getting that first out of the pitcher Pinheiro.
Well, he knows that this is a guy that he can't fool around with. If he's going to hit a ball, it's going to be Homer's pitch. He'd much rather pitch to Rasmus. Well, that is almost right up here. Than he would to Matt Holliday. He has been on an absolute tear since coming back over to the National League. You'd much rather pitch to the young Colby Rasmus than you would Matt Holliday.
Although Bailey on that 3-1 pitch, he said, here's a gas, hit it if you can. And here comes the 3-2. The runner at first is Lugo. He'll get started. Reds leading by 3. And a jam shot roller. Boy, Bailey just ate Holliday up there. And a ground out to Phillips ends the inning. 1 run, a couple of hits, 2 men left. Middle of the 5th. The Reds lead St. Louis 4-1. Well, don't miss out on your chance to see the amazing Crosley Field exhibit and more at the Reds Hall of Fame. for only $1.50. Now through Sunday, take advantage of this special offer, and all you need is a game day ticket. Visit Reds.com/HOF to find out more about what's going on at the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, open all year round. Reds in front of Joel Pinheiro and the Cardinals in the opener of this 3-game series, 4-1. Reds bat in the bottom of the 5th. Jeff Piecoro sitting in here in inning number 5. We've had Marty Brennaman stop by. Jim Day will come around in the 6th as the Cowboys showed up tonight. I mean, he looked like $1 million, but didn't feel like a nickel. He was under the weather.
A lot of that going around, isn't it?
Well, you're not lying. And when you get those guys around, you tell them, you know what? We're glad you wanted to be here. We're glad you showed up. Now beat it, because nobody else around here wants to get it.
Exactly right. Well, you know, everywhere we go, everything you do now, even at the little kids' games, they have the little squirt bottles.
Oh, yeah. One hopper down to third, and DeRosa throws out Bailey to begin the 5th inning. Well, you know, even the president of Fox Sports, David Hill, he sent out an edict to all of us who work in the NFL and in Major League Baseball, and I don't know if this is filtered over onto the cable side or not, but certainly I know at the network side, doesn't matter what your job is, what member of the crew. You could be a camera guy, you could work in the truck, you could be one of the announcers. And he has gone on record as telling everybody that, look, if you're sick, I'm going to pay you, but you're going to stay home. I'm still going to pay you, but you're going to stay home. If you show up sick and you work, well, that's not a good thing. There's a base hit in the center field by Taveras, which is a good thing. So Willie aboard with 1 out here in the Reds' 5th inning.
Tom, it's filtered down to, you know, you have children. My kids play volleyball, so they're not allowed to do the handshakes after the game. They get in the lines, they just walk by each other, and they say good game. They're not allowed to shake hands. They've said this for soccer and for the volleyball games. So I mean, everybody is so scared because this has gone through all the schools now. The H1N1 virus, it's out there. Wash your hands, wash your kids' hands as much as you can.
No doubt about it. That must be all the brains over on the Commonwealth side that are doing that no shaking hands thing after the game. I like that idea. Over on the Cincinnati side, my daughter and son are shaking hands with everybody and his brother after a game. There's a pitch that gets a piece of Giannis. So he'll take first, and on to second goes Taveras, and here comes Joey Votto.
Hey, Reds fans, for a great tasting quality meal for your family, pick up a bag of JTM beef or chicken Philly cheesesteaks from your favorite grocer. JTM, food, family, fun.
That is by far the best that has been read all summer.
Well, Jerry and those guys are such good guys, I thought I'd give it a quality shot.
It's nice.
There you go.
Joey Votto is lined out to left and homered to right. 2-1 with 1 out. The Reds trying to add to a 4-1 lead. This should be a double play, and it is to end the inning. Jeffrey, thank you, my friend.
Tom, always a pleasure.
Great to see you, man. I'll see you after the game.
All right, buddy.
1 hit, 1 left. We go to the 6th. Jim Day coming aboard. Reds lead by 3. Pot in OHIO up to $88 million, so buy a ticket today. Well, a young man who's been doing that cheer for the better part of his entire life, who hails from Columbus, Ohio. Mr. Jim Day, how are you, sir?
You're looking good in the trestle look. I like it.
Thank you.
Heck with those other people.
Well, my dad doesn't like it, my wife doesn't like it, my daughter adores it, and that's all that matters.
You know what? That is all that matters at the end of the day.
That's exactly right.
I was just in the radio booth, and your dad was continuing to wail on you.
He was.
Publicly.
Okay. Well, I'm a big boy. 46, I can handle it by now. Fouled away by Colby Rasmus, and it's strike one. Reds leading 4-1, and another good start for Homer.
Oh, it's been impressive. You guys talked about it before, how he's maturing right in front of our eyes. Not only on the mound, but off the field as well. He's saying the right things, and you think he's listening as well, and you can see it. If he can just get that pitch count down, I think he could be in business long term.
Well, he took one that looked like either off the glove or off the foot. But ricochets to Giannis, and they get the out of Rasmus to begin the inning.
Doesn't look like there's any concern down there. None of the trainers are scurrying around, so it looks like Homer's all right. But yeah, it did come right back at him. Looks like he got a little bit of a glove on it there. But Giannis, how solid has that guy been?
Cool.
Made every single play. On this road trip, there was one play I was waiting to see, and that was him charging the ball, barehanding, and getting a guy with decent speed. He did that on the road trip. That was the only play left for me to see. The guy's a big league shortstop, at least defensively.
Of course, the question will be, are the Reds confident enough in the rest of the team offense where they could carry a guy whose hitting still needs to be proven on a regular basis? He's been playing pretty much every day for the final 2 months of this season after the trade of Alex Gonzalez. But you are 100% correct, Mr. Day. His defense is spectacular. Lazy pop up to the right side, playable for Mr. Votto, and foul ground 2 away.
You think about this club defensively now. When you put Rolen down at third base, and we've talked about this often, but when you have Rolen, you have Giannis, you have a Gold Glover in Phillips at second base, and Joey Votto, who's adequate over there. He's not a great defensive player, but he's adequate. You have a very solid defensive infield, and that has showed over the last 34 games, which Scott Rolen has been a part of. A lot of the Reds have won 23 games, and they have played really good defense during it.
Ball one away to Mark DeRosa. You make a great point. Rolen has won Gold Gloves. We know that. We know Phillips won one last year. And I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever that, you know, if it's based strictly on defense, and you say, well, I think that's what the Gold Glove Award is for, right? Well, yeah, right. But oftentimes a guy's offense comes into play. Giannis would win, or certainly be among the best defensive shortstops in the league, and very much be in the mix to win a Gold Glove if he played every day. I'm not sure I've seen anybody in the National League this year any better with a glove than Giannis. And that's not being a homer.
No, it's really not, because we get to see all the teams in the National League. Not only does he have the range, the adequate range, great pitch by Homer right there, but he's got a gun as well.
Bailey comes right back in the sixth. 1-2-3. He mows him down. The Reds come to bat, still leading 4-1.
There's that play.
Coors Light 6th inning, and now it's time for the Coors Light Freeze Cam. Homer Bailey hitting spots right from the get-go here tonight. Did not strike out a batter his last start. He has 7 of them tonight. Coors Light Freeze Cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light.
You got that kind of gas. It's kind of like that line in Major League. Get about the curveball, Ricky. Give him the heater. Homer's relying on that heater.
Run that by me one more time.
Get about the curveball, Ricky. Give him the heater.
Nice. I like it. Would you care to do any other imitations while you're up here tonight?
Yes, sir. There's my Brantley.
That one shot into right field off the bat of Brandon Phillips. This will be at least 2. And Phillips making a turn. He's coming to third. Here comes a throw, the slide, a triple.
How exciting is it to watch this Reds team again in the standings? Nowhere to be found. Guys playing for personal statistics a lot of times this time of year. And Brandon Phillips has not changed a thing this season. We're here. We're privy to watch batting practice. He is out there every day at the same time, taking ground balls, hitting, doing everything he needs to do. These guys are being professionals to the end. And they've got a good group in that clubhouse now going ahead.
Well, the Reds have 6 games left to play. They are still 3 games out of third behind Milwaukee. Brewers have been on a pretty good run here recently.
And here's a guy that has a knack for the RBI. He's a sac fly machine. He's an RBI single machine. And 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, he's going to get this guy home from third base with no outs.
Rolling 3 sac flies since coming over to the Reds. He has 8 of them this year. And there's a base hit center field, RBI indeed. And that makes it a 5-1 ball game.
I was surprised when I talked to Brandon Phillips. As you look at Scott Rowland, again, picture perfect swing right here, going down and getting it, driving that ball to center field. When I was talking to Brandon Phillips, and unsolicited, he brought up Scott Rowland and how much he has meant to this team. And I know we've talked about it a lot, but usually we're priding players into talking about the hates. Talk about Scott Rowland, his influence for us. But he talked about how big of an influence he has had on not only himself but Votto, and especially how to drive in runs. And I think since he has come over here, you have certainly seen a different Joey Votto than you did in August. It's just amazing the amount of effect he's had, and the guy barely speaks. It's all in what you do, not what you say.
1-1 to Jay Bruce. I remember when the day the Reds made the trade, and I happened to be down in the clubhouse and ran into Mike Lincoln, of course, who's virtually been hurt the entire year and spent a lot of time on the disabled list during his tenure with the Cardinals. And he happened to be down there in the clubhouse, and he looked at me as soon as I walked in. He said, "How about us getting Scotty Rowland?" I said, "Yeah, what do you think about that deal? You were with him in St. Louis." He said, "Without a doubt, the best teammate I've ever had."
Yep.
And the first thing you say when somebody says that, really? He said, "Oh, without a doubt." He said, "The best teammate I've ever had." Of course, Walt Jocketty had Scott Rowland, brought him over from Philadelphia during his tenure as general manager with the Cardinals.
And he knew the impact. He saw firsthand the impact that Scott Rowland can have on a team. And at the time, when you looked at the trade, you thought maybe the Reds gave up a little too much. Now, going forward, what I've seen out of this team and what I've seen out of Scott Rowland, and again, the first day he came here, he said, people were talking about, well, I'm on the backside of my career. I'm not dead. I'm 34 when he came over here. He's got a lot of baseball left in him. The Reds are a better team with him at third base.
And that's why, you hope and pray when you make a deal for a guy at his age. He's not over the hill, but he is 34 with a history of back problems. That ball in the air. Right center field, and Jay Bruce has played long ball for the second time tonight. A 3-run home run in the second, a 2-run shot here in the 6th. And the Reds now lead 7-1.
Well, Jay Bruce going against a right-handed bat. We know that he can hit righties. He went down and got it there. And for a guy that's had limited time this year, he had over 21 home runs last year. There you see the contact going down in the zone, getting his arms extended there. And when he gets his arms extended, Jay Bruce could do some damage. But the fact that he's got 22 home runs following up a 20 home run season last year, you take out the injury and do the projections, he's got more than 30 home runs probably. And we're talking about a very young guy here. If he hits for average one day, even 280, and continues to hit for home runs and drive-in runs, you're talking about one of the upper echelon players in the game if he can hit for average.
Check swing by Vladimir Valentin. 1 ball and 2 strikes. That is a 3rd multi-homer game this year for Bruce and the 5th multi-homer game in his very young career. And we talked very early on about Joel Pinheiro. In 203 innings this season, he had allowed 7 home runs. He's given up 3 in the game tonight. Valentin thrown out by Lugo, 1 away.
As much as you guard against it, after winning the division and clinching, it's so hard. Even if you tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to get up for this last week. Subconsciously, for whatever reason, I've seen it so many times. For whatever reason, the Cardinals might struggle this week, but it will be no means will dictate what's going to happen in the postseason. By the way, I agree with your father. They're my pick for the World Series.
Are you just jumping on the Marty Brennaman bandwagon?
I am not.
You've been known to
no.
do
I said this
basis.
on the air last week. It was a Reds fan cam question.
Because, you know, a lot of you guys that have been around here for a while, I've noticed since coming back and having the chance to come back, a lot of you guys jump on that bandwagon frequently.
Well, as I tell your father often, it is good being Marty Brennaman. And not only is it good being Marty Brennaman, it's good being a friend of Marty Brennaman. You know what I'm saying?
He looks a little tired.
Go in there and listen to him. He hadn't slowed down a bit.
Well, he was over here very fired up tonight.
He was. In fact, he said he enjoyed it very much.
Well,
and I brought up the fact of, hey, let's do this more often next year. Of course, he went right back to the well of, well, pay me and I'll be there.
Oh, yeah.
Is it like father, like son? Would you donate a broadcast to us? How about we do a broadcast for charity?
Of course I would.
Donate your salary.
Would love to do it. 2-2 on Ramon Hernandez. But look at him. He looks beat up.
There he is. He's looking up at the TV screen right now.
Yeah, he knows he's on.
Yep. I'm not going to call him tired, by the way.
I called him tired.
Well, I know you did. I've also learned it's tough being around Marty Brennaman when you say such things.
I've had a little practice.
Yes.
That one lined into left field, and Holliday's got it for the 2nd out of the inning. After the home run a moment ago by Jay Bruce, his 2nd of the game. Pete yelling out to Jay Bruce.
You gotta love that.
Great seeing him at the park.
Isn't it nice to see him smiling and just smiling about baseball right now? I mean, that was a baseball moment right there.
Same smile he's had since he came up. We all get older. You put on a little weight, you lose some of your hair, whatever it is that age and Mother Nature will do to you. But that smile, when his face lights up, has never changed.
And we've talked to him a few times over the years when he was out in Dodger Stadium, etc. And I got to sit and watch it, a couple of games with him for an inning, and he is nitpicking every pitch just like he would if he was managing in that dugout still.
Well, Jim Breaux, you brought the Reds some good luck. Thanks for coming in tonight.
You got it, Tommy. See you on the post game.
I'm going to tell Marty you said he was tired. We go to the 7th. Jay Bruce has knocked in 5, and the Reds lead 7-1. game summary presented by Chrysler. Loving the long ball indeed. Jay Bruce with 2 aboard in the third made it 3-0 Reds. Joey Votto a solo home run to right in the third inning to make it 4-0. Pinheiro had only given up 7 home runs all year. Gave up his third of the game tonight when Bruce got him again with 1 aboard, I beg your pardon, in the 6th. That's a career high 5 RBIs tonight for Jay Bruce. And Homer Bailey has certainly held up his end of the bargain again. Bailey, his last 7 starts, a 4-1 record, the victim of 2 blown saves, an ERA at 1.99, and has given up the lone run on a sac fly by Pujols tonight. Joe Thurston will lead things off, batting for Jason LaRue. Pitcher spot due up next, and that's Troy Glaus standing in the on-deck circle. Fly ball short left field, and Ballantine will come in to get it 1 away. Of course, every time Dusty Baker gets a look at Troy Glaus, you know the first thing that comes to mind. He thinks back to that 2002 World Series when Dusty Baker led the San Francisco Giants into the Fall Classic against the Anaheim Angels. Glaus, of course, their big star that year, got many votes for the league MVP award and wound up winning the World Series MVP award. Angels beating Dusty and the Giants in 7 games. Dusty's team had a 3-2 lead in that series. Angels came back to win game 6 and then took care of business in the series finale for the first ever World Series championship for that franchise. Of course, the Giants have still never won a World Series since leaving New York. 1-2 to Glaus, who has been injured pretty much the entire year. Underwent right shoulder surgery at the end of January. Had a couple of rehab stints in July and then another in August. Came up to the big league club, had not played since the 12th of September. 33 years old now is Glaus. When healthy, he is still a very good player. The guy had some huge years in Anaheim, 1 year in Arizona, and then on to Toronto before coming back to the National League in the Scott Rowland trade. Fly ball right field, and there are 2 away in the inning. Get a look at the pitch count numbers for one Homer Bailey. 104. Double the number of strikes to balls. It's another thing that Bailey has proven as he has gotten better, and really logically it would tell you that, but with a lot of young pitchers you might have a good start but only be able to pitch 5-6 innings because of a high pitch count. I mean, Bailey's getting deep into games since he has been on this run. 7 innings, 8 innings, 6 1/3, 7, 6 his last time out. 2-out single into center by Schumacher. And Bailey will get even better and more efficient with that pitch count number as 2010 comes around. Well, you cannot put a price on the experience and the progress that Homer Bailey has made this year. He is a bona fide big league pitcher. One and to Julio Lugo. He singled his last time up, 1 for 3 in the game. And a tapper down to third. Rolen will play it backhanded and throw him out, and that'll end the inning. So a hit, a man left, middle of the seventh. 7-1 Reds lead. It's time for the seventh inning stretch presented by Cincinnati Bell. Your local Ford dealer in the Ford F-150 2009 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Honda dealers, visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers. And by McDonald's of Greater Cincinnati. Reds leading 7-1 as they come to bat in the bottom half of the seventh inning. Taking over for Joel Piñeiro, got knocked around here tonight. His right-hander Todd Wellemeyer, he has spent most of this season in the Cardinals rotation, but more than likely will be a part of their bullpen when the playoffs begin. I mean, let's face it, when you've got the front three starters in your rotation that the Cardinals have, well, Chris Carpenter, Adam Wainwright, Joel Piñeiro, the three rank among the National League's top 15 ERA leaders. Carpenter #1, Wainwright #3, and then Piñeiro, although he won't be 15th after tonight, going 6 innings and allowing 7 earned runs. Willie Taveras to be followed by Paul Janisch and then Joey Votto. Troy Glaus remains in the game and he'll play third base, taking over for DeRosa. And behind the plate, Matt Pagnozzi. He is the son of longtime Cardinal catcher and fan favorite Tom Pagnozzi. 3-0 on Taveras to be followed by Janisch and Votto. Reds got 3 in the second on a home run by Bruce, a solo home run in the third by Votto. Cardinals scored their only run in the fifth. Taveras pops up a 3-1 offering in foul ground for Pagnozzi, 1 away. Enjoy one of Cincinnati's local favorites at the ballpark, Penn Station East Coast Subs. Find Penn Station located near the Reds fan zone on the first base concourse behind section 514 up on the view level. Great Philly cheesesteak subs, authentic fresh cut fries. Get tickets for the Reds now, 3-in-1 Reds, or go to Reds.com to enjoy Penn Station East Coast Subs at the ballpark. And that we did for dinner tonight. They were kind enough to feed us up here in the booth. So we thank the folks from Penn Station. Knocked down one of those Philly cheesesteaks before the old ball game. Fouled away by Paul Janisch. 1 ball and 1 strike. By the way, one other change made by the Cardinals. Mark DeRosa went from third base over to second base. So Schumacher out of the game. 1-1 on Paul Janisch. Check swing. Did he go? They appeal and nothing doing, says Field and Colbert. 2 balls and a strike. Game 2 tomorrow night. We'll have it for you right here on Fox Sports Ohio. It'll be Bronson Arroyo, who's been probably the best pitcher in the National League since the All-Star break. In the air, and that ball out of play. John Smoltz will start tomorrow night for the St. Louis Cardinals. Man, was that guy something for Lowe those many years in Atlanta. Came back earlier this season, his first year away from the Braves since initially coming over from the Tigers. And really struggled with Boston. But has thrown the ball pretty well for St. Louis. And how valuable might he be should he be a part of the postseason roster? Now, we have not seen the Cardinals except for the one series a couple of weeks ago since coming on board. But that'll be the matchup tomorrow night. Reds Live gets underway at 6:30. First pitch at 10 after 7, and we invite you to join us. Three and 2 to Paul Janisch. Homer Bailey in line to pick up win number 7. The Reds have activity in their bullpen for the first time tonight. Jared Burton is getting loose. Bobbled by Lugo. Still throws out. Janisch for the second out here in the 7th inning. There are really only 2 races left to be determined as far as the postseason is concerned. In the American League Central going into play today, the Detroit Tigers led the Minnesota Twins by 2 games. They're playing a day-night doubleheader because that game was rained out last night in Detroit. And in Game 1, Minnesota won 3-2, scoring twice in the top of the 10th inning. So that got the lead down to 1. Game 2 is now in the bottom of the 6th inning, and the Tigers have a 5-2 lead with Justin Verlander on the mound. The other race still in question is in the National League with a wild card, where all of a sudden Atlanta has come from 8.5 back to now a 2-game deficit, trailing Colorado for that 4th and final spot in the National League playoffs. Bad news for Atlanta tonight, trailing at home against Florida, but only in the 6th inning, a 4-1 Marlins lead. Colorado just underway. They're in the 2nd inning, starting a 3-game series against Milwaukee, and that game is tied at 1. Three and 1 Novato. Joey lined to left in the first, homered to right in the third, and bounced into a double play in the 5th. Brandon Phillips still sitting 5 RBI short of 100 on the year. Has not a single at bat tonight with a man on base until now. Brandon Phillips with 1 on and 2 out. Up and in from Wellemeyer, ball 1. One and 0 on Brandon Phillips. High pop-up should end the inning. Rasmus in short left center, and that's that. We march on to the 8th. All Reds tonight, leading 7-1. He been going back really to about mid-August. He's in line tonight, and he's still on the hook for a win with the Reds leading 7-1. We mentioned his last 7 starts, a 4-1 record, an ERA of 1.99, and that's the final tally on Bailey tonight. 108 pitches. He allows 1 run, and make no mistake, this is the Cardinals' A lineup tonight. Now you might say they've clinched the division. What do they really have to play for? Those are all legitimate questions. But the bottom line is when guys like Albert Pujols and Matt Holliday and Colby Rasmus and right on down the line, when they're getting in that box, you know those competitive juices are flowing regardless of the situation. They want to get hits. They want to score runs. And Bailey just laid them out tonight. So he will give way for Jared Burton, who takes over in the 8th with the Reds leading 7-1. Bailey punches out 7, only walks 1, and allows the 7 Cardinal hits. Pujols, Holliday, Rasmus coming up for St. Louis in the 8th. Breaking ball in there to Albert Pujols, strike 1, Holliday to follow. Pretty good slider there by Burton, but just off the plate, and 1 ball and 1 strike. One and 2 to Pujols, who knocked in the only Cardinal run tonight with a bases loaded sac fly to deep center field. He had a single and a stolen base going all the way back to the opening inning. 2-2. 2-2 the count, and it's grounded foul. Pujols playing in his 9th year in the major leagues. He broke in 2001. He won the National League MVP last season, the second time he's won it in his first 8 years. You got to believe this year will be number 3. And you're talking about a guy who is 29 years old. Of course, Barry Bonds got on just that unbelievable run of winning MVP awards. You know, you go all the way back to when he won his first one in 1990. Terry Pendleton was the surprise winner in 91 when most believed Bonds should have won it. Here's a high pop up to the right side. And Brandon Phillips has it for the first out of the inning. Bonds came back to win it again in 92 and 93. Went a long period of time. Guys like Bagwell, Barry Larkin with the Reds in 95, Caminiti, Larry Walker, Sammy Sosa, Chipper Jones, Jeff Kent. But then starting in 01, Bonds got on a roll where he won 4 in a row. 01, 02, 03, 04. Well, Pujols, who won his first one in 05, won in 08. Well, he's got a legitimate chance to catch Bonds. You know, you start to say that, and then you catch yourself and you think, wait a minute now. That means better than everybody in the league. What, 3-4 more times? 1-0 to Matt Holliday. When all was said and done with Barry Bonds, 7 MVP awards. By far the most all time. You have a number of players that have won it 3 times. Pujols will probably join that crowd this year. That one hit the other way, will go to the wall, and Holliday will cruise in with a 1-out double here in the 8th. Like to remind you, Thursday at 6, Fox Sports Ohio is your all-access pass to UC football with Bearcat Sports Weekly with Coach Brian Kelly. Break down highlights of the Fresno win and get insight into the battle for the victory bell on Bearcat Sports Weekly with Coach Brian Kelly, presented by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. The Bearcats ranked number 10 in the nation. 10th! That's the highest ever for a UC football team. Tyler Green coming on to run out at second base. That ball lined into straightaway center by Erasmus. Green stays put, and there are 2 away in the inning. So here comes Ludwig with 1 on and 2 men out. Again, we'd like to send out our best and get well wishes to Jeff Brandley, who might or might not be watching right about now. Well, he was not feeling well at all. Came down with something over the weekend, apparently in Houston. Came rolling into work tonight and sounded bad. And decided to go home and try and feel better for tomorrow. 1-1 to Ludwig. Cowboy, we miss you and hope you're doing all right. And after the trio that's tried to fill your shoes tonight, especially the Hall of Famer, boy, do we miss you. Taken high and away, 2-1 to Ludwig. Boy, how about Marty Brennaman tonight? Holy Moses, was he fired up. 2-1. Fouled away. You know, to be 67 years old and to have that kind of fire, and well, there are other words you could use. Whatever and vinegar, you decide. Well, he's got plenty of it at 67. Mercy. Still waiting to be paid indeed. Wouldn't do any play-by-play over here tonight unless he got a check. If Cowboys not feeling any better tomorrow night, we'll have to bring Marty over for about 3 innings. Show me the money is what he's saying to Christian Roberts, our producer of Reds baseball. He knows better than to ask our director, Roy Alphys. No chance down that road. 3-2 delivery. Fouled away again. Three and two one more time, and Burton going to step off the rubber. Fouled out of play again. I don't think Ryan Ludwick, when he was bouncing around team after team, especially injury after injury, going back to '99. Got his first taste of the big leagues with Texas for all of 23 games in '02. 8 games the next year when he got hurt. 39 with Cleveland. 15 with Cleveland. 19 with Cleveland in '05. Not a single game in the major leagues in '06. That ball in the air to left field. But after coming up in '07, the last 2.5 years, he has been so valuable to the Cardinals. Good work by Burton. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Reds lead 7-1. Take a look at our John Morrell hot dog play of the game. Lugo, the bobble, and still in time to get the out at first. That's our John Morrell hot dog play of the game. Well, Fox Sports Ohio is very pleased to announce that we will be the presenting sponsor for this year's Reds Fest. Baseball's premier fan fest will take place Friday, December the 4th, Saturday, December the 5th, over at the Duke Energy Convention Center in downtown Cincinnati. 2 days, a great 2 days. Autographs, photos with all the players, live music, interactive baseball games, exhibits. The Reds mascots will be there. And Fox Sports Ohio's Reds Fest benefits the Reds Community Fund. So visit Reds.com/RedsFest right now for more information. I promise you, you will have a great time if you come down to Reds Fest. All kinds of changes for the Cardinals. We start on the mound. Mitchell Boggs has taken over, replacing Todd Wellemeyer. In left field, Mark DeRosa playing his third position of the night. Third, second, now left. David Freese is over at first. Julio Lugo is now at second base. And handling the ground ball is the new shortstop, Tyler Green. Mitchell Boggs, we've seen him used over the last couple of years as a starter, as a long reliever, pitching in his 14th game. It's been a huge night for Jay Bruce. 2 home runs, 5 runs batted in. A 3-run shot to right in the second. That started the scoring for the Redlegs tonight. And then clubbed a 2-run home run to right center in the 6th. The 5 RBIs, a career high in a single game for Jay Bruce. One hopper down to David Freese, and there are 2 away in the inning. Well, you got a handful of games left to do and watch all the action. Enjoy a perfect party atmosphere aboard the Cincinnati Bell Riverboat deck at Great American Ballpark. Spectacular views of both downtown and the Ohio River. Located high above the center field wall. Make your plans today. Still time to do it. 513-765-7600. 2 gone here in the bottom of the 8th, and the Reds with a 7-1 lead. Here's Vladimir Valentin. 0 for 3 in a game. Ramon Ramirez is getting loose in the Reds bullpen. He may finish things up in the 9th inning. 1-2 now to Valentin. Fly ball right field, and that is that. Reds go in order against Boggs in the 8th. 9th inning coming up, and the Reds leading 7-1. T-shirts, jerseys, and more. Get your team gear straight from the source. ShopReds.com right now. And don't forget, Thursday at 7 on Fox Sports Ohio High School Football, our game of the week. Lakota East, one of the best backs in all the conference, will take on Oak Hills. Find out who comes out on top Thursday at 7 on the Fox Sports Ohio High School Football game of the week. Great high school football here in town. Oh, and 1 to Mark DeRosa as Ramon Ramirez, I beg your pardon, takes over on the mound. He's done a very good job since being brought up from AAA. A weak roller by DeRosa to Yanish. 1 gone in the ninth. So again, many can say too little, too late. But the bottom line is the Reds are now 2 outs away from tying the New York Yankees for the best record in all of Major League Baseball, going back to the 3rd week of August. Reds will win their 24th game in the last 35 times they have played. 24-11. You know, you think about the end with getting everybody healthy by and large. Guys like Votto back, Bruce back, Hernandez back, Cueto back, Bailey coming of age, the deal for Roland. Many guys that you're going to see here next year. And you think about the last 2 months, and you think about the first 2 months. Reds were 6 games over 500 going into the month of June. And really the wheels fell off, and that's the only way to describe it. They fell off from a health standpoint, from a production standpoint, June, July, and 3 weeks of August. So what do you gather from all that? Obviously, you hope you can build on some things from this year. That one blasted into deep left center field, and that one is long gone. A home run by Freese. Boy, did he hit that ball. Very little doubt about that one. The second it left the bat. For Freese, that is his first major league home run. Of course, he's the big prospect in that Cardinal organization. Young third baseman. He's the guy they've been talking about. Last year hit 26 home runs, knocked in 91 runs. The year before that knocked in 96. Out of the University of South Alabama and grew up in Wildwood, Missouri. So he's a local kid. 3-1 the count on Troy Glaus. Three and two. To the count, and here it comes to Glaus, and that ball's in the air to left field, hit pretty well, but Valentine will have room in front of the wall, and the Cardinals are down to their final out of the ninth. Pagnazzi bats for the first time since coming on defensively. Matt Pagnazzi. Ramirez trying to nail it down for Homer Bailey, who is lights out again tonight. 7 innings, 7 hits, 1 run. Two 2-0 to Pagnazzi, and it's 3-0. Joel Piñeiro will be hung with his 12th loss against 15 victories. And Piñeiro will make another start here in the regular season. He will fall in line 3rd in their rotation looking ahead to the playoffs. So you'll have Carpenter start for them unquestionably in game 1 of the division series. Adam Wainwright in game 2. And then Piñeiro. So that will be quite some time between starts for him. There's ball 4. So Ramirez walking guys with a 5-run lead here in the ninth. Julio Lugo, the batter. 7 runs, 8 hits, 3 men left on base for the Reds. 2 runs, 9 hits, no errors, 8 left for St. Louis. Breaking ball low to Lugo. This ought to do it. Shallow center field. Willie Taveras makes a catch. And the Reds have beaten the St. Louis Cardinals in the opening game of this 3-game series. A final count tonight of 7-2. Jay Bruce, a pair of home runs, knocks in a career high 5. And Homer Bailey, 7 outstanding innings, allowing 7 hits, 1 run, struck out 7 and only walked a batter, as Bailey gets his 7th victory of the year. We'll be back with more from Great American Ballpark. The Reds celebrating a 7-2 win tonight.